Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us again on a very exciting webinar today, which is Effective Classroom Management. My name is Abdel Jacobo. I'm the academic specialist for the University of Dayton Publishing in Grupo SM in Mexico. And I'm very pleased and happy to introduce one of our stars in the company, which is Blanca Looney, and I'm going to tell you why. So to thank you for all the people watching us all over the world in Latin America, United States, and Spain. Thank you for being here. We have built a community, and we all learn together during these difficult times. So let me introduce our speaker today, Blanca Looney. Blanca Looney. Blanca Looney began teaching in 1978, so she has a lot of experience teaching. She has taught at all levels in Mexico and California. She has been a consultant since 1993, giving many seminars, workshops, and teacher training courses in Mexico, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Ms. Looney is author and co-author of EFL material for primary and secondary schools in Mexico and Puerto Rico. And right now, she's an academic consultant at the University of Dayton Publishing. So thank you, Blanca, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time and you being here with us today. So whenever you're ready, you can start your talk and you can share your presentation. Thank you. Blanca, can you please? Oh, there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am very pleased to be here today. It's quite exciting, and everything that's been happening around the sessions that we have had for the past weeks. I hope you're taking advantage of them. And very humbly, I would like to share some of that experience that I've had over the past years, many years, if you ask me. So the thing is, this is a very practical workshop, okay? We're here so that we can share. We're here to share our experiences, and I want to make it as interactive as possible, okay? Classroom management is not something that you can really go into theory, okay? It's more about your experience as teachers, whether you're new or have a lot of experience. We know that every classroom is different. We know that, oh my goodness, sometimes we dread the time when we have to see that third B because they're different. And so let's look into some of the things that we should take under consideration, and please participate. Please participate because this. I want to make it as interactive as possible. I want to learn from you, and I hope I can give you some tips as well. Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin by reading this of Everson's and Weinstein. They said that the actions taken by the teachers to create and maintain a learning environment conducive to successful instruction. So in reality, what we want is our classes to go as smoothly as possible. I want my hour or my hour and a half or my 2 hours or whatever time limit you have in your classes to go as smooth as possible, to have my students understand what I'm trying to instruct, but to also to have a little bit of fun, no? Because it's in English teaching is not just about instruction. Yesterday's workshop was about e-games, and I really liked it because yes, you have to play, you have to have fun, because if you don't have fun and enjoy your class, then we might be doing something wrong. Okay, so let's start. Let's see. First of all, consider this question. What kind of teacher do you consider yourself? Just be honest. Just write something on the chat box and tell me. I want to learn a little bit about you. It says, what kind of teacher do you consider yourself? Okay, so I'm going to give it a minute and I'm going to go back and I will read your question, your answers. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so let's start reading some of the answers. What kind of teacher do you consider yourself? Anybody?
Let's Blanca, let's give it some time, because remember that we have a delay and then they had to type. So yeah, they are all some responses right now in the chat box.
Yes, yes, we'll wait. Yeah, there is a delay and you have to get, I have to get used to that, dear. Anybody, just think about your classes. Think about what you do in your classes. Think about the activities that you have. Think about your planning before your classes. What kind of environment am I creating? What kind of activities I will have? So think about that for a minute. Okay. Okay, Lisette from Mexico says, innovator and creative teacher. Yes, very good. Caring, by all means, Claudia, thank you. Enthusiastic, I love that, Francis. Enthusiastic, you have to be enthusiastic. You have to be, yes, cheerful. You have to be resourceful, by all means. Technological, well, some of us are not very technological, but we get by, okay? Creative and efficient. Creative again, thank you very much. Motivator, thank you. Yes, we have to be motivators. We have to motivate our students, and teachers, it begins with us. No, if you are motivated yourself, then we are able to transmit that. Okay, organize. Thank you for that one, Darío González. Some of us are less organized than others, but we get by. But yes, that is one trait. Thank you very much. You have to be kind but strict. Absolutely, absolutely. And because I said that this was not a theoretical focused workshop, we're going to touch just on a few types of teachers. Okay. Anonymous says serious but loving. By all means, yes. An honest teacher, fun. Thank you. Fun and creative. Yes. Creative, lively, interesting. A happy teacher. Yes. Joanne Alam. Yes. Nefti from Spain says passionate about what you do. And I think that if you are passionate, and we're going to touch on that point later on today, okay? So interactive, charismatic, very good, very good. So let's stop there for a minute. And I see all those answers are right on the dot, because you're talking about creativity, you're talking about enthusiasm, you're talking about motivation, you're talking about caring for your students. Okay, I could not imagine someone teaching a class of children or even adults or adolescents and not care for them. So that's one other point that we will look at. Alida Feliciano says motivating, creative, motivation, yes. And that seems to be common, no? Being or thinking that responsible, thank you very much. Luis Baeza says interactive, a guide, dynamic, thank you. Remember, teachers, it's not an easy task. So we need to take our vitamins. I highly recommend you to take your vitamins every day because we need them, okay? So let's stop there for 1 minute and let's take a look at the next question. The next question is about not what we think, not what we consider ourselves to be, but let's take a look at that. What kind of teacher do you consider yourself? That's the one. Okay, the next one. What kind of teacher do your learners think you should be? It's not about your perspective, it's about their perspective. Now, we often think about our teachers, so think about our teachers for a minute, okay? Oh my God, everybody has one favorite teacher, right? Okay, so what made that teacher particularly special? What traits do that teacher had in your lifetime that we remember them so well? So think about your classes, think about your students, and think about the kind of teacher that your students think you should be, okay? So I'm gonna open the question and answer box and let's see what we can, what we have. Okay, empathic, motivator and confident, yes. Friendly, absolutely. Enthusiastic and patient, by all means, okay. The best teacher ever, of course. Everybody wants to have the teacher, the English teacher. Now, you guys, I'm sorry about the rest of the teachers in school, about history and about math and about all those other classes that your students suffer with. Because remember, when they come to you in your English class, it's a whole new world. So from their perspective, what do they expect from you? Let's see. A millennial teacher. Oh, we have a lot of those. Yes. Fun and happy, responsible. Absolutely. Oh, more strict, somebody says. Why? Why more strict? More technological? Yes. Yes, because we have different teaching tools in the classroom. So I believe that is absolutely right. Adaptable, adapt yourself. Relaxed, dynamic. Oh my goodness, I'm having all these answers. This is wonderful. Caring. It keeps popping up, no? Caring and fun. And fun seems to be the word. Multitask teacher, we'll see that in a little bit later. Dynamic and funny, yes. Yes, you have to be that, remember the vitamins. Dynamic, you have to have energy, you have to show that energy. Juan, we should not be serious teachers. Thank you, Juan. Yes, my message today. Kind, creative, funny, empowering and guide. So if we put these two things together, what do we need? What do we need from if we want to match what we think we're doing and what they expect from us, what do we need? So think about that for a minute. Let me go back and let's see just a few. I'm not going to bore you with theory. I promised, okay? So, but thank you very much for your answers. Thank you very much for your participation. There are too many to read them all, but thank you so much. And yes, those keywords, energy, being dynamic, being fun, being a little bit less serious. Now, let's leave the seriousness for other classes because our classes should be fun. Okay, so let's take a look at this type of teacher, okay? And this type of teacher is, remember this? Anybody? Did anybody see this? The movie Matilda? Long time ago, when I was young and slim. Well, this is Mrs. Trunchbull. She was the principal of the school. And as you can see by the picture, you can tell that she was very authoritarian person, right? That's not what we want to be. We will see some of the traits of that type of teacher, pero let's look at this one. Remember her? Anybody? This is Miss Honey. Miss Jennifer Honey was Matilda's teacher. And there was a whole world of difference, because if you can see by her physical appearance and her nonverbal communication, she was more of a black and white teacher, no? Black and white, simple as that. But Miss Honey, well, it says it all, no? Miss Honey was sweet, was the sweet teacher that everybody wanted to have. So let's look at those traits. Rules, 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 and rules. Now, teachers, in my years of experience and my traveling through many places, I have seen and I have observed many classes. Some of them I have been delighted to see. Some of them were just children having fun, children have, and I would remember those faces, and I remember them smiling and having fun. And well, it doesn't mean that you have to be like strict about rules. It's not what it is. It's how you bring it about in your classrooms. Okay, all for routines. All for routines. Yes. And I always tell my teachers that many years ago I saw a preschool class, and children in preschool would do everything they had to do with a teacher's command, and because it was a routine and they knew exactly what to do. And I was just like, wow, I said, I was flabbergasted, because, you know, it's third grade in preschool. Every word was in English. All of the instructions were in English. Okay, and all she had to do is give them a sign, and students knew exactly what to do. Now, how did she? I just had to ask. And so I stayed after the class and I said, how do you do it? And she said, it's very simple. I work with them and we have a routine for almost everything. They know what to do when. Now, these are children of third grade in preschool. Isn't that amazing? It's just a little bit, it's not what it is, it's how you approach it, how you treat your students with those rules and those routines. Next one, procedures. What do we want in a class? Procedures. Procedures is things, how am I going to approach the teaching of reading, for example, or writing or listening, okay? Now there's a procedure for everything. And when we are in our classes, we want those procedures to go as smoothly as possible, with a lot of hearty, okay? So I know that in this type of classroom, sometimes we can't move. Why? Because we wish we had 15 students, but sometimes we have more. My primary teachers, my secondary teachers, I feel you. Sometimes they can't move because classes are crowded, but what can I do with that kind of setup in my classroom? What happens here? No interaction or very little interaction. What happens is I do a lot of the talking. I do a lot of the instruction, and students have very, very limited very limited opportunity to interact and to communicate among themselves. Okay, so out with this. This is not what we want. On the contrary, we have authority, and it comes from authority. Authoritative teacher is the one that chose that authority, but it's not power. Okay, the one before was more about showing power, my rules, and this is what I do, and this is how things are done in the classroom. Okay, if you ever had a teacher like that, I'm so sorry for you. Okay, but I'm pretty sure that you've got over it by now. So the authoritative teacher is the one that chose those rules. Promotes interaction. It's monitoring the class, smooth transitions from one activity to the other. Okay, absolutely not like this. Okay, we stay with the first picture. Okay, the teacher is smiling, she's approaching her students. So it's quite a difference when we talk about power and we talk about authoritative. So let's see. The authoritative teacher sets the limits. It controls students, and I always tell my teachers when I do teacher training in courses, yes, there's room for chaos. Yes, you can have fun, and that was one of the points yesterday with the games. Yes, you can have fun. You can have a little bit of chaos. You can have a little bit of this mother too. But by all means, teacher should control. Okay, and there is an S right there. Okay, the authoritative teacher guides students through the class. It shows them. It shows them how to do it. It provides the opportunity for students to practice the content of your class. Okay, it gives you rules, but it tells you why. It's not because I want to and because this is the way it's done in the class. No, I give you the reasons why. Okay, and of course, it provides good environment and communication in the class. Okay, now let's go to this one. Personally, I enjoyed this movie very much because this is a perfect example of the permissive teacher. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I'm not. So think about it and think about this type of teacher. And of course, we don't have them in English classes at all. Okay, let's make that clear. Let's make that clear. But yes, there are some permissive teachers out there that allow the students to do whatever they want. And what happens? Of course, students are not interested. Punto. They don't. It's just like, okay, well, and they look at their watch and they see, oh, one more half an hour. Oh my goodness. Okay. Of course, projects are out. There's no need for them. Okay, it's too much hassle. You have to direct them. You have to guide them. You have to check the steps. You have to see what they're doing. So it's too much trouble. Students do their own thing, and let's say that you have good management skills in your classes. Okay, but you're teaching in the front of the class. Or your students are divided by groups. Let's say they're divided by groups, okay? But sometimes we keep ourselves in the half front of the classroom while the other half in the back are talking. They're talking about their weekend and what they like and what they don't like and anything except the class, okay? Same techniques, same strategies over and over and over. Students already know what they're going to see next because that's something they always do. All right. So That's what we want to keep away from, right? Right. Now, how do you achieve this? Class begins before it begins, because it begins with your lesson planning. And I know we all out there love our lesson plans. We spend weekends and we spend hours, and we're always trying to see what activities, maybe a little game, maybe a little song. It's something that we look forward to. And let me tell you something. If we do it right, we shouldn't spend hours and hours and hours and hours. I would rather see my teachers teaching than planning. So planning, and that's a whole new workshop. But planning should be easy, step by step. Something that contains your all the items in your class, the what are you going to teach, how are you going to teach it, how long is it going to take, how are your students going to interact with each other, okay? But it should be in a way that it's easy for you, because it's better for you to look for some of the activities than to be spending your time with your plan, okay? Planning should be easy, step by step. It's not going to change. It's not going to change the outcome of the class with a lot of planning, but it will change with a lot of activities in your class. Okay, so now, what are the things that we need in order to have an effective class? One of the first, and it keeps popping out and popping out, it has to do with what? It has to do with that relationship. It has to do with that, how do I get along with my students? You know, when I was very young and very thin, and I taught lower primary in California, and your students saw you on the street or on the supermarket, and they yell at you and says, "Mom, that's my teacher." You've done something right. And what is this? It's called empathy. And what is it? Some authors say is the connection. It's the connection of the feeling that goes from teacher to students and from students to teachers. Now, if there's no empathy in the classroom, then there's no caring in the classroom, right? And some of your comments said caring for your students, and you're absolutely right. Empathy has to be there, and there's and what is empathy? It's like, oh my God, that 5th grade in primary in whatever school, oh, they are so difficult. Do you think there's empathy there? On the contrary, you have classes and you come in and you see smiles. You see smiles on your students. That's when empathy occurs. Is that connection with your students and your students towards you. Okay, so write it down. Empathy is number 1. Okay. Emotion. Now, some of you said caring, enthusiastic. Okay, so who's this man? This man is Dr. Francisco Mora. He is from Spain, and he has done extensive research on neuroscience applied to education, and we will have a workshop on that. So one of the things that really struck me was this: if there's no emotion, there is no learning, period. So what happens in the brain of your students that doesn't allow them to have learning in our classes? Now, We'll talk about that in a moment. So if there's no emotion, there is no learning. How do we understand this? And we'll go back to our question and answer. How do we understand this? So does that mean that if the class is boring and your students are bored, they're not really learning? How do we take this? Let's look at another one of his statements. It says the brain only learns if there is emotion, and that is a proven fact. Okay, he didn't invent it. He has studied for many, many years the fact that emotion is something that triggers the mind to open up to new things. So let's take a look at this person. Now, I was really struck when I read about him, and I have studied him. I've read some of his work. He says we need more passion in our classrooms. And what does he mean by that? What does he mean by passion? Is that emotion? What do you think about that? So I'm going to go to the questions right now, and you can answer that. But I'll give you something else that he has said, and I quote, learning does not take place in the classrooms. I'll leave you with that. Why does Dr. Aldana says that there is no learning in the classrooms? And that's pretty debatable, eh? And I'm pretty sure you have your ideas, and let's look at your answers. But what he's saying is that within the process of teaching in our classrooms, we only open the possibility of learning. It's not until your students are able to communicate, to interact with others, using the content that you have instructed, that learning takes place. In Mexico, we say, now I understand, okay? So let's go back and tell me, what do you think about this concept in our teaching? And I'm going to go back to our question and answer, okay? So just give me 1 minute, and here we are. Okay, so could you, and I know that we have to wait, there's a delay here, but what do you think? What do you think about, let's talk about empathy and emotion. Okay, how do you feel about those two factors in our learning process? And it you know, it has been around for a long time. Okay, these people have been studying neuroscience applied to education for a very long time. So tell me, what do you think? Okay, thank you, Paola from Ecuador. Elizabeth, thank you. Okay, someone from Puerto Rico. Yes, I know your process in Puerto Rico. Lesson plans have to be very detailed, and you spend a lot of time. My sympathies for you. Okay. Anonymous says, feel both positive emotions and negative, or only positive. Let me see, Anonymous. Feel both emotions, positive and negative, or only positive? Of course, only positive. There might be some times where you have to deal with your students, but we are trying to promote positive environment, positive emotions in the classrooms. We want our students to leave the classrooms with that sense of, wow, I love English, I want to come back. Oh, I can't wait until Monday. Okay. Passion to teach, absolutely. There are many answers. Thank you very much for participating. And Nefti from Spain says, we have to teach from the heart. Absolutely, I absolutely agree. I even gave a workshop on teaching from the heart, and I remembered perfectly. It's if we don't show this passion for what we do, we cannot transmit. We cannot transmit. And let me tell you, Claudia says passion is what moves everything. Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia. Ana Maria Cisneros, we need to engage our students. Yes, yes, because if they're not interested, they will not be able to engage. And if they don't engage, according to the doctors, they're not learning. Too important for my teaching. Yes, thank you. Empathy and emotions are needed inside all classrooms. Absolutely. Without them, teaching has no heart or purpose. Now, for many years, remember teachers, for many years, English teachers were considered a little bit wacky, a little bit crazy, but we got over that. And why was this? Why was this so important? Because our classes were different, because we had fun, because we were motivating our students, and that made English classes totally different from others. They're catching up. I must confess it, and I must tell you, they're catching up. And you see students having fun with their Spanish classes, a lot of innovation with math, but English has to be one of the inspirational segments and subjects in classes, or it should be, okay? Empathy is important because they're emotional human beings, absolutely, and we have to be aware of that. My passion, yes, okay, you have to show your passion when you are, even when we're having a simple instruction activity. Okay, or even when they are answering a questionnaire, the fact that you're there, the fact that you're monitoring your classes, the fact that they can feel your interest in their classes, in what they're doing, makes a difference. Empathy and emotions are interconnected, absolutely, and they make the environment class, and it's very important to use. I agree with you, Vero. Roy, when students first are apathic despite our efforts, well, the thing is to persist and not to desist, okay? It says, if we impart confidence and emotions about what we are teaching, our students will be interested in learning. Yes, that is my message today. I think that I agree with Juan Arias, says passion is total dedication. You cannot give, I heard someone say, what you do not have. And if we are teachers at heart and we care for our classes, we care for our students, then we should be able to transmit that. Teaching from the soul to transmit, Yvette, yes, thank you. Thank you. Passion and love is very important for the teachers. Absolutely, but okay, don't keep it for yourself. The thing is, we feel the passion for teaching, we feel the love for our students, but we have to show. How do you show passion? How do you show that love for your classes? How do you show this feeling that you have? Okay, very simple. It's in your body language, it's in your facial expressions, it's the way we treat our students, it's the way we talk to them. You know, very sadly, I have to say, I have all sorts of experience observing classes, and one of the things that I haven't been very happy about is the fact that teachers sometimes, you know, hush their students, and they shh. And I hear this shh, and I don't know what to say. I just write my observations, and it's so sad, and it's, you know, fortunately, it's not very common. Okay, total dedication. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go back to the other concepts. Okay. try to be emphatic. Some students are difficult, Marisela. Yes, I agree. But I just so remember one class in particular many years ago when we were having a song. And everybody was having fun, and and we were singing, and I had one student sitting in the front row, and she says, "Are you going to make me sing?" And I said, "Not if you don't want to." And, just leave her alone. And we kept singing, and we kept, having fun. And little by little, she started moving her feet. And the next thing you know, she started to sing too. It happened fast. It didn't happen in the first song. It didn't happen in the first class, but it happened little by little. Be persistent, because you will have some of those students that they're not very happy with their classes. We don't know where their students are coming from, right? We don't know who they are. We have them for a few minutes every day, or sometimes 3 times a week. But you know what? We get to know them slowly, okay? Rami says learning is a long process and it takes place at all levels. I absolutely agree, okay? But if we plant seeds in our classrooms, we will see students grow. Absolutely, Rami. I really agree with you, and thank you for sharing that with us. Caro says passion is advocacy and commitment. Of course, be persistent. You have a commitment to your students. You have a commitment to your class, to your classes, and so it's only we're only doing our share. Yes, we're only doing our share. So let's go back to our presentation and let's see what other elements do we have to consider. Yes. Okay, so we agree with Dr. Aldana and Dr. Francisco, right? Because they both agree, even if Dr. Aldana is from Argentina and Dr. Francisco Mora is from Spain. Okay, but they worked extensively and intensively on this subject. Okay, so don't you just love to have fun in your classes, teachers? And for that, you need body language. And I just love to have songs in my classrooms. I love to have games because this is when students are themselves, okay? And body language is positive, and it's also not so positive and not so good, right? Why? Because, I always tell my teachers this, but I'm sorry, but to those of you that know me, I'm going to use the same example because it's true, okay? If you have a very straight face and you tell them how happy you are and how exciting you are, it's a nice class, you're having fun, but they can't see it. It's just words. It's just words. You need that body language to project. And remember, body language and facial expressions is what validates your words. You can say many things, but ladies, remember, female teachers is not what they say, it's how they say it. All right? And so when your students respond, okay, and they say, okay, are you okay with it? Is this, they're responding and they're having fun, and you see a couple of them, they're kind of serious and kind of, my goodness, they're not really participating. The body language tells you that they're not engaged, correct? It's very obvious. It's very obvious. But who has to be the example? who has to show them how to do it? Yes, it's us. It's you. It's you. I am no longer in front of a class, and I really, really miss it. But I also love the fact that I'm able to see classes, and I'm able to visit teachers, and I'm able to give them a little bit of advice on the things that I have seen through the years. So it's like body language is of essence, no? Body language is, remember, body language, facial expressions is what validates the language. Okay, so, you're not saying anything, and you approach your students, and you look at them, and you give them the teapot posture. You know, so you go like this. You don't have to say a word. You do not have to say a word. Or you go like this, and you don't have to say a word. I'm watching you. No? So we have to be very careful on some of our body language in the class. Okay? Okay, now look at these three teachers. Which one do you like the best? And which is the one that you feel that you can be like? Just look at the pictures. Look at the pictures for a minute. Okay. Now, the first one, this one, so if you're falling asleep, the students will fall asleep, correct? If you have a headache and you have many things to think about, and that is what you are sharing with your students. And of course, this one, and most of my pretty teachers out there, we give them a big smile. You too, male teachers, okay? I'm not excluding you, because I have seen male teachers give wonderful classes, and they sing with them, and they play with them, and they're always smiling. And you know, I have been in classrooms where the teacher has not arrived yet, and I have seen students' reactions and how much they enjoy. This is he's coming, or she's coming, you know, and everybody gets excited because they're going to have their English class. That's the type of thing that we want to promote. Okay, now, voice, teachers, it's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool. You know, so we have to take care of our voice, right? But what type of tone, intonation, pace do you use with your voice? It's not just speaking, it's how we speak, okay? So do we speak like we have a megaphone? Oh, I can really do that. I was given a seminar once, and I asked my teachers, do I need a microphone? And everybody yelled out and say, oh no, please. So, but I can also have a soft voice. So what kind of voice do we use when in our classes? Okay. Okay, now let's look at the middle one right here. What type of voice do you think she's using? Very loud, right? Okay. This one seems to be kind of nice voice. Students are attentive to the teacher, whatever she's saying. And sometimes we just want to yell out for help. I hope it's not your case. All right? I hope it's not. So let's continue. Okay. Now, TTT versus CTT. Teacher talking time versus students talking time. And I want to reflect a little bit on this, and I'll go back to my question and answer box because let me tell you a little bit about ancient times when I started teaching. We were very, very, very authoritarian teachers, and whatever we said, whatever our rules was, and so we talked throughout the class. We did give them a little bit of opportunity to speak, but it was more of a mechanical drills and repetition and not so many, and it was more about teacher, class, and class responding. Ancient history, long gone. Nowadays, our classes should have instruction by the teacher. You give them the model. You give them a chance to digest it a little bit with an activity. But remember, teachers, we do not need the practice. They do. Entonces, that means that the more students talk in the class, the better it is. Why? And when we do teacher training, it's very often that I've been asked, so how many interaction patterns should we have? Okay, and my response is always the same, because it's give your students as many opportunities to practice in the classroom with your supervision. Then you know that they're doing it correctly. Okay, so it's teacher, address the class, class response, but then you have a chance to kind of, you ask here, you ask there, you ask in the back. Don't forget, teachers, do not forget your students in the back, please. And then you give them a chance to work it in pairs or work in groups. Why? Because it's a chance for them to practice with another interaction pattern. Communication here is of essence in our classes. We want our students to be able to speak and speak properly. So what do we do then? What do we do as teachers? Any answers? So let's go back. How important is this? Your teacher talking time and your student talking time. So let me take you back to the questions and answers, and I'll give you a chance to answer this, because interaction patterns in the classrooms are very, very important. Giving them an opportunity to practice the content, the language, in pairs or in groups. Okay, what is your experience? Some students don't even like groups. Some of them don't like pairs. So what did you do? Tell me about your experience in your classes, please. And I will, if you give me 1 minute, I will go back to my questions. Yes. Anybody? I know I have to wait for a little bit. Okay. Yes, when they yell that you are here and they're very happy, that's what we want. Absolutely. Anonymous, thank you for that comment. Large groups. Lina Olivares from Peru says, when we have large groups, I don't know if this was no, it's not a question. It's a comment. Okay. Mafer, when you change your voice, my students say, why is she so serious? Absolutely, I agree. I agree. Remember that voice carries out messages, okay? And that is important, okay? Teachers need to speak out, not shout. Absolutely. Some of us have a very high pitch voice, and then so we have to kind of be careful about that, no? And I said, I am not upset. That's how I speak. All right. So it's very important because students are awakened. Well, sometimes you have to wake them up. Okay. We lead the activities to maximize students' talking time. Absolutely. Thank you, Nefti. Okay. Very good. Okay, so you're talking about definitely using cues. Allow your students to give them cues and allow them to practice. Absolutely. Okay. Ernesto, teaching English is like riding a bicycle. You have to learn it well. Absolutely. Sara from Yucatan says, we drill them and promote speaking. Yes, communication is the key word. So we want our students to speak the most possible in the classroom. Yes, we want our students to be able to practice. We want our students to practice. We don't need to practice. Remember, they do. All right. Okay. So Tanya, as we listen, we motivate our students to talk among themselves. Very good. Thank you very much. Yes. Okay. Now, I didn't see the teacher's name, but she said, "What if you have 30 students?" Well, the better with pairs, the better with groups, because when we have large classes, we cannot be on one-to-one basis, okay? Because we would need 5 hours of classes every day. So what do? We give them the language, we allow them to do it in pairs, and then we promote that work, that communication or interaction in groups, because that's the only way they can practice. Okay. How to prepare for body language? I hear acting classes are good. Well, practice, yes. Sometimes I tell my teachers during my teacher training sessions, if you're not confident with your facial expressions, practice in the mirror. That's always good. Okay. Tate Mendez says that how to change the mind of traditional teachers. Well, that is a challenge, but it's not impossible. And I know that some of us in the older guard are more into being very strict, and this is what we're going to do in class, and this is how it's done. But also, I think slowly, if we can bring them into our circle and talk to them and give them tips, that's what we want. We want them to bring them around. It's not easy, eh? It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Anonymous says the majority of my students are frightened, shy, and embarrassed. Absolutely. But when you create a nice atmosphere in your class, and you know that nobody's going to laugh, that everybody is there to learn, and you promote that among them, then you will have lesser problems in that area. Okay. I know that teachers, you that are teaching in secondary, we have to understand your students. We really have to understand them, because we know that they're going through changes and you know, and it's not easy, but that's where the emotion comes in. That's where the empathy comes in. Okay. Anonymous says we should have different voices, but we should never shout. Agree with you, Anonymous. Thank you very much. Speak in a regular tone, but loud enough or soft enough that our students get the message. Very good. Thank you, Anonymous. Luisa, some of my students feel scared. Okay. But feeling scared, feeling shy, or when they feel embarrassed, has to do with the type of environment we create in the classroom. Okay, so that's important. Okay, that's important. It depends on the situation. Absolutely, agree. Okay, so let's go back so we can advance. We must advance because we don't have much time. Unfortunately, it's only an hour and a half. okay, but here we are, okay, and here we are. How important is eye contact, teachers? How important? Sometimes we're writing on the, and I remember my own personal experience. You're writing on the board and you have to turn. It's like having eyes in the back of your head, right? Because it's like you cannot lose them. If we are writing on the board, and that's a whole new story of how we do it, we should constantly look back, see what they're doing, see what they're saying, whether they're moving. Oh my God, some students will take every little chance they have, to do something that is not related to your class, right? And we know them, so we constantly have to kind of turn back as we do, as we write something in the class. Okay, so eye contact is extremely important. Okay, learning outcomes. Everything we do in a class and how we do it has to do with our learning outcomes. What is the purpose of this class? And what do I have to do to make that learning successful? Now, Dr. Aldana might feel that, you know, we might be in conflict with some of his theory, but I feel that the practice in the class and how instruction is carried out has to do with having a successful outcome. So what do we need? Skills or products students are expected to learn. Now, when we do that lesson planned, what are you worried about mostly? Content, procedures, type of activities. So let's think for a minute. I'm doing skills development. Skills development, not the product per se. I'm going through the phase of instruction. I'm going through the skills phase, okay? And I'm telling my students that they must learn the past tense. Let's stop there for a minute. Not only reading or writing or speaking or listening. When you're doing skills development, there's something else that you have to be worried about. Can anybody tell me what it is? And let me go back to that, to my question, because we do have reading, we do have writing, listening, and speaking in our classes. Yes, but what else do you have to worry about when you're trying to develop those skills? So let me go back for a minute and let me read you, okay? Let me read you. What else is important when we think of skills development? What else? Can someone let me read you? We must, how do we motivate our students to speak? You are the model, you are the example. Then you allow them to practice under your supervision in pairs, for example. Okay, and then we have them now, and I'm not going to go through the lesson development because that's something else. But remember, you provide the model, you are the example, you allow them to do it exactly as you want, and you slowly kind of change or allow them to incorporate language, okay, as you go from very controlled type of activities to a more freer type of activities that we want. But they're speaking. They might be practicing, yes, but they're speaking, okay? And they might not have a perfect pronunciation, but they're speaking, and that's what we want. We want them to, we need to allow time for them to practice in class. Okay, so so back to my question. What else do we need to think about when we are developing skills? Yes? And I'll wait for a minute or two. Okay, so I can start getting some feedback from you. What else do we need? Oh, Paola from Ecuador, I absolutely agree with you. Other teachers from other subjects think we're crazy. We are, but we don't tell them, okay? No, we're teachers that are having fun in our classrooms. That's who we are, okay? Remember, English classes have developed throughout time, and finally, they have understood. A lot of other teachers and a lot of, okay, not only teachers, the principal, the coordinators have understood that English classes are different. We just have fun. Anonymous tells me, it's answering my question about what else do you need to worry about when you're developing other skills. And Anonymous writes grammar. Absolutely agree. Thank you very much. Yes, that's one thing. Anybody else? Okay, I'll wait for your answers. Anybody? Because that's what we do in class, no? You're either reading or writing, you're either speaking. Okay. Angelina, thank you very much. You role model what you want them to do, absolutely. Somebody writes values. I like that, yes. And it has to do with another workshop, which is wonderful, okay? They learn different. Yes, thank you, Gladys. Thank you, Gladys. We must take under consideration that all our students learn in different ways. And so we must provide different ways of instruction for our students to understand, because what's very clear for a couple might not be very clear for others, okay? So yes, they learn different learning styles. Yes, I totally agree. Okay. We must motivate our students because in my case, those have a modeled, absolutely, Lisette, yes. Not only you are the source of content, the source of instruction, you're also the source of motivation. And it's not only what we teach, but how we teach it. Absolutely, I agree with you. Thank you very much for your answers. Okay. The use of language systems. Thank you very much. That's what I was looking for. Okay. When we are teaching, when we are not teaching, but developing the skills in the classroom, that's only a little part, just a little part, because that's the means through how they learned the content, right? Okay, you want them to be able to analyze vocabulary if they're doing reading, okay? You want them to spell correctly if they're doing writing. You want them to pronounce properly if they're doing speaking. Yes, thank you very much. Vocabulary, grammar, the functions of the language. Yes, Gisela, thank you very much. It's the language systems involved with the development of the skills that we are practicing in the class or developing in the class. Okay. Somebody says, should we speak Spanish in class? The least possible. The very least possible, please. We're teaching English, and that's the chance they have, okay, to practice. So if we use Spanish, we are taking that time away from English and using Spanish, which is not very effective, right? We want our students to practice as much as possible during our classes. English, yes, please. If we do English from beginning to end, then we would have allowed them to practice enough, or well, not enough, but enough for that class. Okay, practice and reasoning the ideas. Yes, totally. Thank you very much. We must consider their needs as well. Absolutely. Okay. Yes. A medical in our students, but I didn't get that very well. Practice and reasoning the ideas about the topic. Yes. Vocabulary and the use of English. Yes. We must focus on the topic of interest of our students. Now, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. But we do have a restraint on that because we have programs and we have to follow the programs. And sometimes we can move a little bit away from the program or from our textbook, but those are the tools that we have to work with, okay? And that's why we sometimes have to kind of stick to the program, stick to the contents of the program, but let me tell you, it's the way we do it that's going to make a difference, okay? And that's what it's important. It's not the content, it's how we present that content. Okay, be patient, absolutely. Anonymous, grammar and vocabulary, yes. Okay, so let me go back. Let me just read a couple more. The different learning styles, we talk about that. Different needs of our students, absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to the other part. Okay, and okay, so we see the skills, okay, the skills, okay, and what they are expected to learn from that class. But we also have measure the proficiency students are expected to achieve in the skill or product. Okay, so are they doing it properly or not? Are they having difficulty or not? And you have seen some of the other workshops on evaluation. I think they have been great. I have learned a lot from them. And what do we have to do as they practice the content of instruction? For once, are they doing it properly or not? How do we measure that proficiency? Okay. Were they able to carry out the task? Were they able to carry out the activity or not? And that's where we have to be very attentive to. Because if they were not able to carry that activity as you expected, then something went wrong. And that's when we have to consider changing the activity, perhaps. I think that would be the first thing. To change the activity, same content, but change the activity. Present it in a different way. Allow them to practice it in a different way to see whether the understanding was there or not. Okay? What are we worried about when we teach a class? We're worried about our carrying out our lesson planning, developing the skills that they need to produce language or to understand language. Are we worried about evaluation? Or are we worried about, like straightforward, this is what they have to learn and this is my job for the day? What are you worried about every day in your daily teaching? Okay, so I'm gonna open a question and answer But before I do that, I want to ask you a couple of questions. I want to ask you of, so after this, how do you feel? How do you feel? How am I doing as a teacher? And there's always room for improvement. So how can I make it even better? Okay, no class is a total disaster unless, you know, chaos struck in. But how am I doing as a teacher? Where are my areas of opportunity? Where can I improve? And let me tell you, that is one difficult question. Okay, because if we are truthful and says, oh my God, I think I'm too serious. Oh, I think I'm a very visual person. And most of my classes, I had visuals. I had visuals all over the place. I had flashcards here, there, everywhere. I had my own classroom. So I had a bulletin board and I had posters here and posters because I'm a very visual person. And sometimes we need to think about, it's not what we like. It's about our students. It's about what they enjoy, what they like. So let's do that reflection. Think for a minute and say, how am I doing? How can I change my classes to make it even better? I'm not saying that they're not good. I'm saying that there's always room for improvement. And so what can you do? Reflect about your teaching and say, what can I do to make my classes even better? Okay, that's a personal question. Everybody has to reflect on their own, okay? We were here to give you a few elements, but now it's time for you to think and say, well, I may need more fun activities, or I may have to show a little bit more of empathy with my students. I need to put myself in their shoes, okay? Believe me, I never understood my students better as when I was studying Italian, another language. And I studied Italian for a long time. And I said, oh my God, is this how my students suffer? And I think that was my turning point. That was my point where I said, oh, I think I can make my classes even better. Yes. To tell you the truth, it was a total disaster at first, okay? That's, you improve with the years. So let's go back. Let's go back to our question and answer and says, how am I doing? Reflect on your teaching. And how can I make it better? How can my classes be, after this crisis, I'm going to go back teaching, and I'm going to be the best teacher ever. Think about that. So I'm going to open my questions. I'm going to see what happened. Okay. No, it doesn't want to, so let me try it again. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, how can I make my teaching better? Don't tell me how you're doing. Don't tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you can make it even better. Okay, is there something that you think you may want to work more on than other things? Tell me. Tell me. They need teachers to be fluent, absolutely. If you have any questions or doubt as well, be free to ask any questions. I will try my best to answer your questions. Worrying about everything, I might have to take one aspect at a time. Maricruz, thank you very much for your comment. I think so. We don't want to end up with a headache. What we want is for our students, for us to work in those areas that might be critical, and then take one aspect at a time. I totally agree with you, Maricruz. Thank you very much. I worry to think my students don't get the idea or do not understand what I'm saying. Okay, Patricia, use body language, give them examples, show them. Remember, you are the model, okay? You are the model, and if they don't understand one way, try it another. Try it a different activity. Give them examples, give them exercises, but try different things to help them understand better, okay? Anything else? Anything else? What would you work on? What would you work on? Okay. Thank you very much. No, thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. One of the things I have learned is thank you very much. I really appreciate your words. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your words. But one of the things I have learned through the years is you can always make it better. There's always room for improvement. So as you read this, there goes the question. What then makes a great teacher? Can you think about that for a minute? Okay, be more relaxed, be funnier. Thank you very much. Use technology. Oh, that's good for me. That's one of my areas of opportunity. Technology really hits me, so I'm really trying hard to keep up with the times. Okay. Class atmosphere. Thank you very much. Okay, very good. Okay, different levels in your classes, differentiated learning, okay? Work for one and then give others the opportunity to practice. You may have to work, you may have to prepare activities in advance, and for those that are falling a little bit behind, you might have to have extra material for them, so that's one way, okay? Enjoy your class. Yes, thank you. Being happy and enjoying what you do. Thank you so much. Okay, more material. Be enthusiastic. Pay attention to students' needs. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful for your comments, for your questions, and I think that thank you, Maria Jose. She says, focus on quality and not quantity of what you teach. Thank you very much. I absolutely agree with you. Thank you for your kind words, Helen. More creative, have more activities in your classes, be more patient. Thank you very much. Each of us know exactly what we need, and therefore, that's what we should work on. Okay, so we're coming to the end, and I want to finish with what is it that makes a great teacher? What is it that makes a great teacher then? Okay. Let me finish reading some of your comments. Thank you very much for participating. Okay, at the end, I will give you my email. I do answer my emails. So, so if you have any particular questions that I can help you with, I would be delighted to. You have to love your work. Absolutely. I think that's one of them. In my times, English teachers were English teachers because they knew English. It's a whole new world now. The new generations are being prepared before they come into the class, and that is very important, okay? And you teachers, new generation of teachers are teaching us, are showing us a new way of doing things. But my advice is, do not forget the essentials. Do not forget forget that passion that we all must have in our classes. Okay, Patricia says be patient and more funny, more interactive, creative, Laura. Thank you. Yes. Anonymous, you have to love what you're teaching. Absolutely. One teacher keeps technology. Yes. Yes. Frank, thank you very much for your kind words. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Your interests and topics. Now, remember the constraint, but it's not what you have to teach. It's how you teach it. That's what it is. Thank you very much, Carmen Torres. Anonymous, thank you. Thank you. And let's close up, okay? And let me share this last slide with you so that we can think a bit about then what makes a good teacher, a great teacher. There we go. You have to be talented because you have many, we are people of many trades, okay? You have to be energetic teachers. I told you about the vitamins. Take your vitamins every day. That's going to help you very much. Cheerful. Be happy. Be happy because you're teaching, because that's what you chose to do in life. And we're not going anywhere. Humane. Understand your students. Understand them and help them. Help them with the knowledge they are acquiring. Eloquent. Don't beat around the bush very much. Don't, if you want to say something, say it straightforward. Do not, I've seen teachers that try very, very hard. Be simple. Be simple and straightforward. Explain and instruct in a simple way so that it would be more better understood by your students. Resourceful. You talked about technology, you talked about materials, which I am very grateful for those comments and answers. Yes, yes, some of us need to work on technology a little bit more. Some of you need to bring more material to your classes. Remember and take under consideration the type of students that you have. You mentioned the needs. You mentioned the type of learning styles that they have. You have a mixture and you have 30 bodies in your classes sometimes, or 25, or how many they are, okay? And they're all different. And remember, we have to teach for all of them, okay? So I want to thank you, Abdel. Is there any comments that you would like to? This would be the time. I want to thank all the teachers. I want to thank for their comments. And if there are any last questions, I would be very happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, Blanca. Please don't leave us, because I'm right now showing the schedule for tomorrow. We are going to talk about mixed ability classes, something that you mentioned in some of your questions, how to work with, with your students in a group that they have different abilities. That's hard. So we are going to give you some ideas tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we are going to continue with online cooperative learning, something that also Blanca talked about today, how to work in groups, how to promote communication in pairs or in groups, but on an online format. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Please answer our survey. I understand you have questions about your getting back your diplomas, your constancias of attendance. Remember that we are having around, I don't know, more than 2,000 teachers connected every day. So we are working hard. We are doing it. We are working a lot in order to get your constancias, your diplomas on time, your certificates on time. but please be patient. And sometimes a recommendation for you, teachers, sometimes you don't get it because the email is incorrect. So we have a lot of emails that they are, they don't get through because maybe there is a missing letter or a character. So please be sure the email you are writing, it is a valid email, is your correct email, and as well is an email you can check in order to get your constancia, your certificate through email. Also the names, please write your full name. It's very important. No mistakes, because the way you type it is the way we copy and paste. That's very important. And also be clear about, the talk, the speaker. That's why every time we post the link, we post the speaker, the talk, because on the certificate, it has to say what's the name of the talk you attended and the date. That's why it's very important for us that information. You're gonna get it if you type all information correctly. Please just be patient. You are gonna get it, but just remember that we're working hard for you, not only on the session, but after the session and before the session. Okay, so well, thank you, Blanca, one more time for being with us today. Very interesting topic, a lot of very positive comments. And then for the people, the rest of you out there, I will see you tomorrow with a very interesting topic. So as usual, please, teachers, stay strong.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blanca.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. So stay strong, stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.